Welcome to this explainer, where we are going to completely transform how you approach everyday conversations. If you've ever felt like you have a million grammar rules swimming around in your head, but you still struggle to just, talk to someone naturally, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're moving way beyond rigid textbook rules and unlocking the actual secrets to natural, confident communication.
So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The real-life speaking struggle. 2. 3 keys to conversation. 3. Fixing common grammar mistakes. 4. The golden rule. And finally, 5 idioms and power vocabulary.
Section 1. The real-life speaking struggle.
We all know the feeling, right? You've studied the books, you've got the vocabulary locked in your memory, and you know the grammar rules inside and out. But then, you step into the real world, and you just completely freeze up. It usually happens when you're faced with super simple, everyday questions. Things like, how are you? Or where are you from? Or can you help me? When someone fires one of these off, even the absolute most dedicated students can suddenly draw a complete blank. So why does this happen? Well, because real-life interaction doesn't give you 5 minutes to write down and perfectly structure your thoughts. It demands an immediate, natural response.
So, the crucial point here is making a pretty major mindset shift. Real-life speaking is about using English to communicate effectively in everyday situations. Now, notice what it doesn't say. It does not say your goal is perfect English. Actually, scratch that. Perfection is literally the enemy of fluency here. Your goal is simply to communicate clearly, express your ideas confidently, respond naturally, and most importantly, keep that conversation going.
Section 2. 3 keys to conversation.
Now that we know our goal is natural communication rather than perfection, let's look at the conversational engine that drives every real-world interaction. These are your 3 keys. First, asking questions, like, where do you live? This initiates the whole interaction. Second, answering questions, like stating clearly, my name is Ali. But the absolute magic happens in step 3, continuing conversations. Think about it. If someone asks you something and you just answer and stop, the conversation dies right there. You have to learn how to throw the ball back, perhaps by asking, what is your favorite subject? This loop of asking, answering, and continuing, that forms the fundamental mechanics of all natural dialogue.
Section 3. Fixing common grammar mistakes. Now, before we can add complexity to our answers and really get that conversational loop spinning, we need to course correct some very common foundational errors that can disrupt our flow. For example, it is incredibly common to hear people say, myself, Ali, when introducing themselves. But we want to immediately drop that awkward phrasing. Instead, just confidently and clearly state, my name is Ali. It's simpler, it's cleaner, and it instantly sounds so much more natural.
Here's another one that trips a lot of people up. You really don't want to say, I belong to Karachi. We just need to tighten up our phrasing by removing that completely unnecessary am. The correct, natural way to state this is simply, I belong to Karachi.
Okay, what's really interesting here is how fixing one small agreement error instantly makes you sound significantly more proficient. Saying he don't study is a huge, very common trap. We just need to shift that to he doesn't study. It is a tiny grammatical tweak, but it makes a massive difference in how polished you sound to the person you're speaking with.
And finally, for our grammar fixes, my hobby is play cricket. By simply adding that ing to make it playing cricket, your sentence becomes grammatically smooth and supernatural to the listener's ear. My hobby is playing cricket. Much better, right?
Section 4. The golden rule.
All right, with those foundational grammar mistakes corrected, we can now step into the single most important technique in this entire explanator. Are you ready? Always answer in complete sentences. If you take literally only one thing away from this explainer, please let it be this golden rule. I cannot stress this enough. One-word answers are conversation killers. They slam the door shut on that conversational loop we talked about earlier.
Let me show you exactly what I mean. Imagine a teacher or a new friend asks you, where do you live? If you just say, Karachi, well, that's a weak answer. It's a dead end. But we can immediately elevate this conversation-ending one-word answer by applying the rule to form a complete sentence. I live in Karachi. It's polite, it's clear, and it keeps the rhythm of the chat alive.
But hey, we don't just want to be better, we want to be the best. To reach the absolute best answer, we don't stop at a basic sentence. We add relevant details to give our conversation partners something to actually respond to. Compare I live in Karachi to the best answer, I live in Karachi with my family. It is a large and busy city. Do you see what we did there? By adding that you live with your family and describing the city, you've just given the other person two brand new topics they can ask you about. You've essentially fueled the conversation engine.
Section 5. Idioms and Power Vocabulary.
So, having mastered the structure of natural conversation and the golden rule, it is finally time to add some serious flavor to our speech using advanced native-level expressions. These idioms are your secret weapons for sounding like a true natural. Instead of just saying you ignored something, you can say you turned a blind eye. You can vividly describe a disrupted plan by saying the rain threw a wrench in the works. Or if you want to ask someone to be a bit less critical of a beginner, you don't say don't be mean, you say cut him some slack, he's new here. And if you act without a plan, you fly by the seat of your pants. Dropping just one of these into a conversation immediately signals that you have a firm, confident grasp of the language.
And it's not just idioms, it's about power vocabulary too. For instance, instead of saying something will speed up recovery, say it will hasten recovery. Instead of saying someone encouraged action, say they tried to incite change. Pairing those idioms we just learned with this kind of power vocabulary ensures your sentences never meander or wander without direction. Instead, they incite interest and keep your listener keenly engaged in exactly what you have to say. So, we've broken down the barriers of real-life speaking. We've fixed the grammar, established the golden rule of complete sentences, and armed you with idioms and power words. But you know, all of this knowledge is totally useless if it just stays locked up in your head. You have to take these tools off the screen and into the real world, because effective communication only happens when you are brave enough to actually speak up. So my challenge to you is this: what conversation will you start today?